Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more Hardspace Shipbreaker. So, today we need to talk about the core. I've been thinking about it. A big part of why we're peeling everything, and that pursuit is not given up on. We've made so much wonderful progress, it's really good. Essentially the next stage on all the peeling that we've been doing would be about figuring out what tethers or how many tethers we need to put to each section so that they sort of, fire and forget. Put 3 tethers on this, fly away, that's it. It's going to deal with itself. That's cool. But a big part of splaying all this open was to shake the sort of internal structure free, the living cabin, all the aluminium stuff, and have that drag potentially forward or away from the bottom back shell and see what we can do there about pulling the core out. Now, the problem is, even when it's fully detached, it still comes in at like something ridiculous, 20 ton or whatever, but essentially it's over the tonnage. And the only way that I can possibly think of sort of splitting that in half requires cutting not just the gantry, but that coolant line, right? So sadly, we can't do it. We can't pull that out. As much as I enjoy all these pursuits, it's a bit rough. But that doesn't mean hope's lost, but it means we need to now look at the core, because in a way, there's only a handful of ways that we can actually remove that core, right? Now, through the bottom is definitely possible. Isolating the fuel line with the key, while, if we could help it, I'd rather not spend the, whatever it is, 50 grand on the key. But at the same time, guaranteeing that those fuel lines aren't touchy is a great thing as well. The coolant line's the big problem, but there is a bit of a blessing in the industrial gecko in that the coolant line isn't wrapping around anything. Granted, it hooks into the front of the core, it hooks on the front, but that's it. It doesn't wrap behind. So we could isolate the fuel lines and start deleting them willy-nilly, but generally speaking, the world's our oyster, especially if we decide to keep the core inside of its casing. So, I think we could probably come up with a good solution, to be perfectly honest. We're going to give it a go. Something I was thinking about was potentially trying to blow the side out of the airlock and see what happens there. Because the destruction that we can consistently do with blowing out the top of that airlock is significant. I'd be curious how we'd go coming at it from a different angle. I'm just going to make sure that I have a key, given that that menu glitch probably still exists. Alright, so this is a good start. The airlocks are closed. So, I thought, excuse me. Oops. We have played with this concept before. Okay, so the heatsink's got to go. Doesn't really want to move, does it? This sort of... I really wanted to see what would happen if I poked a hole here. I guess we could do it here on the corner, right? On the edge. Let's go.
Deposit accepted.
Isn't that interesting, seeing that come away? What am I looking at here? Another weird glue situation? But it's let go of its... Oh. Right. We have played with this before.
Deposit accepted.
It's a pretty straight shot, right? I wonder, here's a thought, what if there's a minimum amount of time between sparks? Right? I don't think I've ever seen 2 sparks just pop immediately, right? Oops, I nearly detached the plate. So, let's try this. What if we let it spark once?
Material deposited. Reactor meltdown triggered. Action urgently required.
Come on. You're not going to... How does this work? See its health bar slowly ticking. Okay, that sounded like a spark to me. Oh shit.
Raw material processed. Credit.
Ah, there's a big bastard spark on the way out. Ah.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Yeah, so it sparked on the reverse side, right? It sparked twice. Once shot out this, and then the second one, it was actually quite close together. Sort of almost answered our question on the sparking situation. Look at this, it managed to blow out this pipe. Managed to delete this part? Wait, is that free? Oh! Can't say I've ever seen that. Hang on, what destroyed that? And look at this whole bloody section's missing as well. Holy shit. Okay, I wouldn't call any of that bankable then, that was pretty lucky. You know what we might do? Jesus, that flung me faster than I thought it would. We might... I'll count this shift because I got the core. Might change the way that I do the shifts a little bit differently. Maybe I can do 2 half shifts. You know what I mean? Like core yanking, that sort of thing. Sort of, it is one of those things, right, if we're gonna do this, the problem that I always run into is that it becomes unpredictable, right? So let's say hypothetically we found a repeatable situation, potentially. Well, the only way to know that it's repeatable and reliable is to constantly repeat it, right? Alright, so this... I mean, it's probably worth experimenting on this as well and see what this does. Honestly, that was a bit weak. Interesting how quick to detach from that this is. Ah. You know what, we might still be able to blow out the top of the airlock.
Don't do that.
For the rest of the project. You know, when we do the double airlock pop. And then just burn these walls out. Because I like this. This is so clean going in the side this way, right? Oh, of course. Alright, but carving a path is something else. So you remember this came away before, now it's not. Oh, hang on. You're not attached to that, are you? You're attached to the top of the bloody cockpit. What am I talking about? The bloody airlock. Okay. Ooh, there is something to be said about blowing out this this airlock. All right, hang on. More advantageous than I initially realized.
Salvage destroyed. Please refrain from damaging salvage.
No, you really don't want to let go, do you? Alright, I'm going to abandon shift. Because we didn't pull the core, so who cares? And we'll do one more. Let me know what your thoughts are on this sort of scrappy rinse and repeat sort of thing. I try not to do it, because I do like to put a bow on a complete sort of closed episode, if you follow. This stopping and starting, I don't know how consumable that is, to be honest, you know, investment-wise. But it is one of those things. We're making these little discoveries which I kind of want to leverage. So blowing out the airlocks is really going to help us. Okay, cool. We don't have to cycle them yet, so that's nice. Right. So we could... The bloody heat sinks in the way. I guess we could pull from either side, it doesn't really matter. The other side might not have a heat sink. Oh, fuck. It's got like a heat plate. Ah, that's one way to get rid of a heat sink.
Salvage destroyed.
All right.
Please avoid damaging valuables.
So what happens if I cut these brackets here? What if I boop you? Oh. Okay. That's pretty clean. So maybe the missing ingredient all this time when I tried it, because this is pretty close to something I've done back in the day before. No. Oh shit.
Valuable component incinerated. Penalty has been applied.
Maybe the missing ingredient was drilling this, because it keeps it all quite calm. Probably shouldn't have done it that way, filling it up with all this crap.
Reactor meltdown sequence triggered. Urgent action required.
Core certainly behaves itself a lot more when you do it that way. Look at that. Nice.
Salvage secured.
I guess we're just gonna have to rinse and repeat it a couple more times. Don't necessarily have to blow the airlock out for that. So cutting those brackets is a big trick, and I guess they're. Oh, so there's no coolant on this side. Yeah, that's a good point. Can we? Can we attack these brackets from outside? Oh shit. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Can I push it with my head? I have cut the brackets in the right spot. That's interesting that these... Is there a heat sink involved? Doesn't seem to be. I wonder why it's giving me more trouble on this side. I did blow the airlock out. Hard to be sure. Hard to be sure. Alright, well. I guess we cash this shift in and call it there. But I think that was pretty clean, but we're gonna need to do it a couple more times to make sure. Alright? But I think the real key ingredient to what we've just achieved here is that front plate on the base plate. By deleting that, I think that actually does give us a fair window where the core behaves itself. I could be wrong, and that's why we need to get empirical evidence. This is just like testing in the lab, alright? And for those that aren't really in the know, that just all that really means is do it again and again and again to build up a base of data, right? That's why empirical versus anecdotal is so important. You know, you see so many people that, well, I won't get into culture war and all that sort of modern crap that's going on, but so many people will assume something because they saw it happen once. And that's not a very good experimental basis to put things on. What you would need to do is run that experiment or that situation or scenario or whatever, you know, like 100 times over or whatever, to build a sample size, because maybe that one time that you saw it happen that one way was the 1 in 100, was the minority, wasn't the overwhelming sort of result that normally would happen. So that's why we're like, okay, we got that core out pretty clean just then, but was that a once off that's sparking? I'm leaning from what we've seen about the sparking towards thinking that using that front plate section to detach it actually does give you a big chunk of time where the core behaves itself and is quite calm. Because if you just yank it straight out, it tends to spark kind of straight away. I think the sparks might even have something to do with how much health it has left. So when we delete that front plate, it keeps all of its health bars. Whereas if you yank it straight out of the housing, it has no yellow health bar. It's literally on red bars only, and maybe it sparks more often and more volatile. But it's hard to be sure, so we're going to test that a couple more times. I'm not necessarily saying this is the format that we're going to do, where we're just going to keep restarting and poking and prodding, but because it is the core and the core is so delicate and all it's going to take is for it to go sideways once and it will brick out our frame rate, it probably is helpful when we're doing core experiments to just go straight into the core and reset as required to maybe get a couple more goes in per. But I'm open to suggestions on this topic. But I really do think pulling it out through that airlock is the trick. And interestingly enough, it doesn't seem to matter about the decompression, so we can still explosively decompress the two airlocks to assist in shelling the ship as well, because we want to do everything in one shift anyway. Yeah. Anyway, team, thanks again for joining me. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I will catch you guys on the next one.